afternoon. Thank you both so much for taking some time out this afternoon to meet with me. Very excited to show you some plans. That's it. It's probably nice to take a little time off of work in the afternoon, Mr. Wilson. At least you have a good excuse. I think you're really going to be happy with the options that we have to offer. So, I really enjoyed our ride through the neighborhood yesterday. I would first like to review with you some of the properties that we drove past yesterday. And then we will begin to look at some specifications for some possible house plans. It's an exciting time for a growing family, isn't it? So I'll just move it this way so that we can all get a good view. Does that work? So we're looking at tract number 5776 at Lou Valley Farms. We'll be taking down some specification information as we review the lots and the plans. As we discussed during our drive yesterday, we have 2.5, 3 1/4, and 5 acre lots available. Of course, these are just rounded off. The actual acreage is noted in each lot, but that gives you a sense of the relative size of some of these lots. And I believe you expressed interest in some lots that fit all 3 of these parameters. So we'll just review what we saw yesterday. So as you'll recall, the entrance into the subdivision comes through Barstow Road, and then all access throughout the rest of the subdivision branches off of Barstow Road. Despite the fact that this looks like a major thoroughfare, you will recall that it is actually just a modest 2-lane road inside of the subdivision. It's a very family-friendly road. Of course, the roads that come off of that are smaller, And the designs for some of the homes therefore have to include garages because of the lack of on-street parking. Whereas that's not so much the case on the main thoroughfare. So, why don't we start? Well, let's start where we began. So we drove in through Barstow Road, and based on some of the descriptions and some things that are on your wish list, we decided to make a left onto Chrysolite, and I showed you a cluster of properties right here. I believe we looked at 4 lots. One of the things that you'll recall about these lots here is the fact that and this is actually true for the other 2 lots further on down Palisade, is the vista that is viewable from the, let's see, we're north here, so this would be the east. So looking east from these properties, this will remain undeveloped land, and it gives you a much stronger sense of living in a wooded area. And so we looked at lots 8, 10, 11, and 13 here on Chrysolite. One thing to keep in mind is that your north-facing window is on the front of the house in lot 13, and it's in the back of the house in lots 8, 10, and 11. And so when you're thinking about how you would like the light to come into the home, how you would like to plan your patio, and any plantings or garden, those are some concerns to keep in mind. We also have a little bit of difference in the size of the lots, but they mostly fit in our 2.5 acre lot size. So I just wanted to review with you those 4 lots. Do you have any feedback? This lot is very nice. It's a corner lot. So what that gives you is one neighbor to the side, one neighbor behind, sharing a back fence or your backyards near one another. So that gives you quite a bit of distance from the home of your neighbors. No neighbor on this side and no future development on this side. Right. Makes this a very desirable lot. This one as well. Okay, so we will rule out lots 8, 10, and 13, and 11 is still on the list. Right. Then as we came down Chrysolite, we made a right onto Palisade, as you'll recall, and drove past these 2 lots. One is a large corner lot, and the other is a large internal lot. This lot, in fact, both of these lots move somewhere between our 2.5 and 3 1/3, particularly this corner lot right here. So you get a little bit more room. Right. Yeah, this corner lot is interesting as well because, as with all corner lots, there's no neighbor on one side. There is across the street, but not butting up against your fence. And you have the benefit of that vista that we were talking about with a larger lot than you have here. Okay, that's fine. So, let's see. That is lot 23. We will add that to the list. So far I can see that you're planning ahead. Certainly a wise decision when you are making a home investment and thinking about the growth of your family in the future. Will give you a lot of, both of these corner lots will give you enough room to expand for the kids to play as they grow, for family gatherings and so forth. Okay, so again, as you'll recall, we were driving down Palisade Avenue. I love the name of that street. We made a right onto Spinell Street, and we crossed Barstow, that main thoroughfare. Excuse me. And let's see, where did we go next? I've made notations here. Okay, so we made a long drive down Spinell Street. And as you'll recall, I described to you the flood zone of these properties, and you can see here on the map, this dotted line here delineates where that flood zone begins. And so to the north of that line, you're in safe territory. And to the south of that line, this is in a floodplain area. I think it's a 50-year floodplain. And so what the developers decided to do in laying out these tracts is to build the houses on the north end of the property and reserving the backyard and the patio for the south end of the property. Of course, the advantage to any of these properties along this end of the development is the lake, which is simply gorgeous. And it's certainly something that you can see from the perspective of a lot of these different properties. Not everywhere, but it's certainly a feature, a central feature of Lou Valley Farms. And you will have access to that lake for any kind of recreational boating activities that you might be interested in. But I certainly understand why you might not be interested in building on one of these properties. We did slip on up here to, let me see, I can't read that far away. That was 98. And that moved us into the 5 acre. It's a very large lot. With a little bit of floodplain area, but really an enormous lot that is suitable for building. I recall you were very interested in that lot. What are your thoughts at this point? Okay. Yeah, I understand. It's a very attractive lot. It's north of the main flood zone. It doesn't include a little bit of flood zone, but it's very close to the lake. But perhaps a bit out of your price range, or just too much land. Okay, so we'll skip that. Let's see. Then we came on up Jasper Avenue, and we looked at 2 lots here. Let me get a better look. Lot 107 and 108, no sorry, 106. Let's there we go. These are really, this whole side of the subdivision is where our 5-acre lots are located. So you were interested in these 2, particularly this corner lot, because of the acreage and the distance from the flood zone. Right, but I understand now that you've given it some thought. You're not interested in the 5-acre properties. Sure. Okay. Then let's continue our tour. I believe, well, I missed one as we were coming up Jasper Avenue. At the corner of Jasper and Chrysolite was a corner property, very close to the lake. Corner property, smaller, but in a desirable location, and not in the flood zone, right. So let's see. This is lot 81, so we'll add that to the list. Then, as I said, we came on up Jasper and looked at these 2 lots, and then turned right onto Brigitte Street, which is on the north end of the entire development. And then we turned right onto Algoman Avenue, and then made another right back onto Chrysolite Street, and had a look at this property. This one is an interesting property because it sits on a hill, and the elevation there gives you a simply beautiful view of the lake. Right, it is in the same price range and size, lot size, as some of the others that you're interested in. It is not a corner lot, as we noted. So you have neighbors on either side as well as behind. But the advantage here is the view, which is simply stellar. So Yes. So this one is still in the running there. Okay. So this is 71. Let's see. So we came down Barstow here, went across Spinell, Jasper, Algoman, Chrysolite. I think I'm missing some properties. Oh, okay. So we had to double back. We made a left at Jasper and came back left on Spinell Street and left on Algoman. So we could take a look at these two properties here, which are butted up against two properties where building is already occurring. And you can imagine that this would give you certain advantages. By the time you built your house, these properties would be finished, and construction nearest to you would be finished. Be a much quieter environment for a while. Certainly one of the things to consider when you're looking at a new subdivision. And of course, you have a corner property here, as well as another property butting up against one that's already under construction. Right, so we want to put, see if I can read that, 52 on our list, but not 51. Okay. All right, I believe that is everything. Did I forget something? Do you recall a property that we drove past that you were interested in, or would you like to make an appointment to drive past some additional properties? Okay. All right, so it looks like we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 properties. Got plenty of time, but we will obviously want to take another trip to Lou Valley Farms and have a closer look at these properties, and maybe even get out of the car, walk around the perimeter, get a better sense of the view that you'll have, whether it's north facing or south facing, whether you can see the lake or not, whether it's a corner property or not. Okay? Very good. All right, so now, even though we have not yet finished identifying the actual property, what we have done at this point is narrow it down to the 2.5 acre lot size, which gives us, I'm sorry, the 2.5 or the 3.5 acre lot size. And that gives us a better sense of the type and size home that you might like to construct on one of these properties. And I think after we look at some of the designs today, you'll be in a better position tomorrow to, use your imagination as you think about how you might like to situate the house on the property, and where, for example, a patio might be located relative to the rest of the house. It's just a lot easier once you start combining the actual lot with the actual home design. Right. Okay. So let's take a closer look.